Hello everyone. In this video, we will be studying about functions. So the best example that I could have for a function that we call very frequently is the one on your screen right here, the main function. This is the function that is called by Java by default. This is where the code all starts. Now you might be wondering, what is a function exactly? So function is basically a piece of code that performs a certain function. Well, it's self-explanatory in that way, but it performs a certain task and it returns, or in some cases it may not return a certain value, but it does some processing for us. That's what a function is. So to understand a function, let's try to understand a world where functions don't exist. Say I have to find permutation, the number of permutations in a number. I have to find the value of NPR. The formula for that is n factorial upon n minus r factorial, right? That's what we are supposed to find. Let's see how we're supposed to do it without a function. Now, here we take our input first. We take a value of n, say, let the user input it. Then we take a value of r from the user. We're familiar with how to take an input in Java. So to calculate this NPR, first we need to calculate a factorial of n fact. And this n fact is calculated in this manner. Let's say it is 1. Then we go through this loop and I is equal to 1, I is less than n, I plus plus. The factorial will be calculated in this manner. We multiply in fact by the value of I, and we have the value of n factorial with us. Now to calculate n minus r factorial, say we call it n minus r factorial. We go up till n minus r and we update the value here. So the values are stored here, and when we have to print the answer, we will simply do n fact divided by n minus r factorial. Let's take an input, say 5p2. On running, let's see what do we get. We're getting the value 12. Alright, we're supposed to go equal to n. Sorry. That would have actually calculated something else for us. And on running, we'll see that we've calculated the value of NPR. NPR is actually 20. Let's try to confirm this. 5 factorial by 5 minus 2 factorial, that is 3 factorial. 3 into 2 into 1 have 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. This cancels out. 5 into 4 gives us 20. So our answer is correct. Now, you see, there was a lot of repetition in this code. For example, in this part, we were calculating factorial. In this part, we were calculating the factorial again. You see, we were repeating ourselves. It is not considered a very good practice in coding to repeat yourself. In fact, there is this convention called DRY, that is, do not repeat yourself. So, following that principle, and say we have an example where a formula requires us to calculate a factorial say 50 times. In that case, we will have to write this loop again and again and again 50 times. That is very tiresome for any developer. So it's not just that problem. Say we actually write it 50 times. Say I say that I'm kind of lazy and I actually copy paste this loop 50 times. On the off chance that there is an error in my code, which there was, I missed an equal to sign, as you might have noticed. So in that case, I will have to correct it 50 times. And it could not just be 50, it could be 100, it could be 2000, it could be a million. So to avoid that situation, we use functions. So the purpose of functions is to actually make our code modular. That is, we divide our code in a certain chunk that can do a certain process repeatedly. For example, we've studied relations, functions and relations in mathematics. Say there is a function called fx equal to x square. So there is a function, we input a certain value x, in return we get x squared. Say we have an input of 2, our function will do this process of squaring 2 and return the value of 4 to us. That is the basic logic behind a certain function. So point is that we should not calculate 2 square, 3 square, 4 square again and again. We should actually create a function that can do this task for us for any value of x, right? That's a more efficient way to do this work. And to do that, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create a function. For this factorial itself, say public static integer factorial. Let's call it fact for short. Now, let's not worry about public and static. What do they mean? Let's just assume that I don't know it either. I'm just using it. It does something and it gets my work done, so I don't worry about it. Fact is the name of our function which we will use to input our value and to call it. And I am writing int here because the value that I want in return is an integer. This factorial that I calculate here, it's an integer value, right? So I want an integer value in return for like as an output for this process that this function will do. So I'll write integer here. Now I'll also need an input, int say x. I want to calculate the factorial of x. The way I'm going to do it is, say I have a variable where I store my answer. I say for int I is equal to 1, I is less than equal to x, I plus plus. Now answer will be right here into I. And once we're done with the entire process, we return our answer. Now, what this will do is that this will remove this code for us. We don't need this code anymore. What we can simply do is that we can call this function to do that work for us repeatedly. Now, fact, I will be needing a factorial for n, and in this case I'll be needing a factorial for n minus r. This will simply calculate factorials for n and n minus r for me, and I won't have to write the code again and again, and I can simply print my result the way it was. Let's see if this works, if this approach works or not. I'm getting the answer as 20, but in case you thought that the output was still there, let me try to change the value to 4p2. For 4p2, I get the output as 12, which is correct, but let's verify this. We have 4 factorial by 2 factorial, as 4 minus 2 is equal to 2. So I have 4 into 3 into 2 factorial upon 2 factorial, cancels out. I get my output as 12. That's basically a verification that this approach works. And not only does it work, it also makes our code much cleaner and much more efficient, in the sense that, say I missed an equal to sign here as well, I won't have to correct it in 2 places or 50 places or 100 places at once. I can simply correct it here and my work will be done. And that's basically the point of using functions. One is to make our code modular, so that our process can be done repeatedly without doing a lot of extra work. And secondly, it helps us write a cleaner code by not letting us repeat ourselves. And that's basically the concept of functions. And Thank you so much for watching. If you found this useful, drop a like, leave a comment, and do subscribe to our channel. Thank you.